Everyone, welcome back to the channel. Video games are in a weird place. I've said that before, but it's never stopped being true. At the same time that major studios struggle to understand what gamers want and as such chase trends, producing games that inevitably fail to capture the attention of an audience that they don't currently and have no interest in understanding, we see other games rise to prominence, some backed by industry veterans, while others are created by new studios who bring fresh ideas to the industry, free from the tethers of perpetual growth and additional monetization that holds back many major studio releases. The impulse to chase trends has doomed teams of extremely talented developers. Just this week, we saw Electronic Arts announce that they'll be eliminating between 300 and 400 jobs. This came with the rumored cancellation of a new Titanfall game. Ironically, something I think gamers actually do want, but as Jason Schreier of Bloomberg reports, it of course couldn't just be Titanfall 3, it had to be an extraction shooter set within the Titanfall universe. Look, EA, I'm going to talk directly to you right now. You own the rights to a franchise that mixes Call of Duty quality multiplayer shooting with giant robot fights. This should be a slam dunk. We should be on like Titanfall 7 by now. The only thing standing in your way is yourself. Decisions like releasing the second game between the release of Call of Duty and Battlefield, which is another franchise you own, and then trying to fit a square peg into a round hole by using the Titanfall brand to create a knockoff Escape from Tarkov. Granted, that's not happening anymore, which I can't help but think that the relative lackluster reception to Bungie's new extraction shooter Marathon helped push EA to cancel their Titanfall extraction shooter. Marathon's a much anticipated follow up to Destiny 2 from Bungie. The release of The Final Shape in the summer of 2024 marked the end of nearly 10 years of the studio working on Destiny related games. It was time to see what the once legendary studio had up its sleeve for a follow up. The pressure was on as Sony had purchased the studio for over $3 billion, a figure that seems even more insane today than it did when it was first announced. So, what could they offer to help Sony make good on their investment? Well, initially, they provided guidance for games as a service. Famously, that led to the shutting down of Naughty Dog's The Last of Us Factions live service game. I did a whole video on that if you're interested in that story. But more importantly, they announced that they were working on an extraction shooter, with games like Escape from Tarkov dominating the Twitch charts and attracting new players to the extraction genre. It's easy to see why they believed that this could be a success. However, with the latest gameplay presentation, fans reacted in a lukewarm manner at best. These were made worse when it became obvious that the game just didn't have staying power, with gamers and influencers invited to participate in the closed alpha. At the time of writing, the 24-hour peak for players is just over 1,500, down substantially from the all-time peak of nearly 7,000, which was just 7 days prior. The current number of players actively playing at the moment that I was writing the script was 48. There's still a lot of time for the game to turn around, but the early word is that it isn't so tough as to appeal to Tarkov veterans, but perhaps it's too difficult for casual players to be invested in. Truly the worst of both worlds. Trying to please everyone often ends up with no one being happy. But that's a mistake that we've seen made quite often by major studios, desperate for the next big hit. Games shouldn't be afraid of dissuading players who aren't into the style of certain games. Developers in the past knew that, which brings me to my next point. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remaster released and everyone loves it. Yeah, it wasn't developer Bethesda's latest and greatest release in Starfield that players loved. Quite to the contrary, with that being their latest release, many people were nervous about the potential of Elder Scrolls 6. With the help of Studio Tros Games, now gamers have a remaster of the beloved entry in the Elder Scrolls franchise that looks beautiful by way of Unreal Engine 5, while retaining the jank that the game was known for, as it's built upon the creation engine. The glitches and funny moments you remember are still here, as are the classic quests and stories that caused many people to fall in love with the series in the first place. Not to mention, this is the first time that players who came into the franchise with Skyrim have had an opportunity to play this game at such a high quality. It's sometimes difficult for players who came into gaming later to go back to specifically like the Xbox, PlayStation 2 generation. So this is like a real opportunity for those players who were maybe turned off by that less than ideal quality of game to play and actually experience the story and the gameplay of Oblivion. Most importantly, though, it shows Bethesda that players are interested in the style of game rather than any other kind of modern trend. There have already been over 4 million players who've checked out the remaster, and it should only grow as positive word of mouth continues to spread. But it isn't just old games that are proving successful this month. Clear Obscure Expedition 33 by developer Sandfall Interactive has already sold over 1 million copies after less than a week of being on the market. This turn based RPG is proving if you make a quality title with a creative and original story, you can find a lot of success. There are only about 30 or so developers working at the company, many veterans of Ubisoft, but the difference in their game from an average Ubisoft game is stark. They've been rewarded not just with sales, but at the time of writing, Expedition 33 has a 92 on Metacritic based on critic reviews and a 9.7 user rating. It's very rare that both ratings are so high from critics and users, but it seems like everybody right now is in agreement that Expedition 33 is amazing. The game being on Game Pass, of course, helped get the word out, and since it was such like a positive word of mouth, PlayStation 5 and PC players quickly purchased the game to check it out for themselves. So, to conclude this video, studios need to be more willing to take risks. Their insistence on chasing trends as a safe option, ironically, is causing them to deliver products that gaming audiences aren't interested in, and in turn, that's leading to layoffs at these major studios. What do you think about all of this? Have you tried the Oblivion Remaster or Expedition 33? If so, how do you like it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe. Got video essays like this coming out every week. Then we also have our Those Fake Nerds channel, which is nerd and pop culture news, as well as Wicked Sports, which is sporting news, and Better Radio, which is a YouTube channel that hosts all of our various podcasts. Go check any of those out if they interest you. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.